Hey guys, in today's episode we're going to be working on this Japanese boxwood.
Now this video right here is actually quite interesting because I wasn't really planning on buying this boxwood. When I bought it, I actually bought it at a local Rayleigh's, which is quite different from where I would normally get my stock from. The only reason why I got it was because, man, if you were to look at the line of the trunk, it is actually tremendous. It is quite taller than any of the regular boxwoods that you would buy at a local nursery. And for the price of it, I just couldn't hold myself back from it. It was only $8 and I just had to take it home. So right here, what you see me doing is actually trying to enhance more of that trunk line right here. And by doing so, I just need to pretty much cut some of the bottom branches like this one over here. And also another one that was pretty much obstructing the view of the trunk. But as soon as I got rid of that branch right there, I began to see more of the silhouette of the trunk, which to me is actually quite beautiful since it's just standing upright, just on its own. Now this boxwood has two main branches, and I wanted to just keep it as a twin trunk. So what I decided to do was just pretty much clean off the bottom of the tree and taking off all the little suckers and all the little leaves that eventually would just damage the view of the trunk. The next step would pretty much be getting my nub cutters and just cleaning off the little residue of the branches that I had left. By doing so, I create a little dip which would allow the trunk to cure the scars, and eventually in the future it would almost be as if there was no branches in that spot. The tricky part about working with the twin trunk is the fact that you do have two trunks which have to be worked individually, but eventually they have to complement one another. In this part right here, I'm actually grabbing a little bit of wire just to figure out at what height I should be setting my lower branches. By wiring the lower branches, I can manipulate them into a place where I would want them to be. And if I don't like the way they look, then I can simply cut them and move on to my next one. It might be tedious at first to do that, but I figure it saves me some branches just in case I do decide to keep them. After positioning the branches, I can determine the length of what would be the main trunk. But most of the time, when dealing with two trunks, you had to also figure out the length of the bottom trunk, or the lower, smaller trunk as you would say. So, like I said, wiring a few branches and putting them on an opposite place would allow you to figure out where the gap of the trunk would be. And also, taking a few steps back and analyzing the tree from different angles can also allow you to figure out which branches will need to be removed or cut a certain length. Another trick here is by either with a piece of wire bringing in the trunk closer to the other one, or with a piece of wood separating the trunks from one another so that you can create some sort of space. In this case, I feel like the trunk that I'm going to be using is going to be too far apart, so what I decide to do is to just wire it a little bit closer to the main trunk. And that is pretty much what you see me doing over here. After bringing in the trunk a little bit closer to the main trunk and making a few adjustments, I can start to see exactly where I would want to have some branches to be cut, or at least be pushed back just a little bit. The next step is pretty much just wiring the rest of the branches, and by doing so we're just going to continue the same process where we wire two branches with one single wire. Like I said, you don't want to wire the branches individually, you want to wire two with one wire, and always looking at the tree in different angles, just so that you get the perspective of each side. So step back, analyze, and just continue to style. After getting close to the apex or the top, what you can do is that you can either leave the main branch the way it is, or you can cut it and use one of the little smaller branches to get to the height. In this case, I actually decided to just leave the whole entire trunk, just because I want to continue with it and just branch out from the top. When working at the bottom, you're going to follow the same procedure where you work right from the bottom and then you make certain adjustments just to fill in the gap that the other tree is actually not doing by itself. So some final touches can just fill in those gaps and also compensate or enhance the taller tree. Same thing, you can either cut the apex of that tree, or you can just pretty much put it in a position where it would allow to have that apex in a nice triangular shape. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.